You don't hate Israel. You hate America because you think that Iran wants to destroy Israel. And because you're opposing an American strike on Iran, you think that I'm going to say you hate Israel. You actually hate America. Iran has murdered more than 1,000 American troops. They killed 241, as you well know, in 1983 in one bomb blast outside of Beirut when Ronald Reagan was president. And he was one of our strongest presidents. And all he did was hightail it out of the Middle East. Before that, we had the weakest president of modern history, Jimmy Carter, who allowed our embassy to be ransacked by these Iranian thugs and take 55 Americans hostage for 444 days. And Carter was crippled, absolutely crippled, and defenseless. He created Islamism because he never fought Islamism. Then the Iranians went and attacked Khobar Towers. They killed 19 servicemen and women from the Air Force. Then they killed 600 American troops in Iraq, according to Pentagon estimates. We're already at over 1,000 American troops. So what I want to say to you, Alex Jones, is you seem to hate America and hate its military. Because if you believe that Iran should be able to kill American troops, they're our greatest heroes. I mean, I hope we could at least agree on that. Greater than politicians, greater than Hollywood actors, most of whom are frauds. Our servicemen and women are our greatest heroes. Iran has killed 1,000 of them, and they never paid a single price. They've been allowed to kill Americans with impunity. Iran just tried to assassinate the president of the United States. Let me repeat that for everyone listening, because it's so striking that they were not hit as soon as the FBI actually arrested an Iranian assassination squad. This wasn't in planning. It wasn't planning for 2 years, but this wasn't just an idea. They actually hired the assassins to kill Donald Trump. And Trump famously put out a tweet in the last 2 months of the election. He said, "I am now surrounded by more men with more guns than I've ever seen because Iran wants to kill me." And then Trump, once he became president, put out another tweet and he said, "I have told J.D. Vance that if Iran kills me, he is to destroy the entire country of Iran. He is to level." And by the way, that is the message, because you can't kill an American president and get away with it. Now, Biden was another complete weakling, and he undermined American military deterrence, because when you withdraw the American troops from Afghanistan, from Kabul, and you allow 13 American soldiers to die on the last day of the withdrawal with a suicide bomber just blowing, and then you let the Taliban take $100 billion of our helicopters, our Blackhawks, our Apaches, and as if no war had taken place for 20 years, and so many thousands of American soldiers died. Biden was a weakling, and now there's no deterrence. And that's what allowed Putin to think, oh, America, I can just invade Ukraine. America's not going to do a thing. America's a bunch of weaklings. So don't tell me about hating Israel. It's about hating America. You seem to hate America.
MI6, the CIA, and Israel are on record. USAID, all of it. Just recently, Israel, Turkey, go in, take over Syria, put the world leader of al-Qaeda in charge. Haaretz reports yesterday, Netanyahu setting up an al-Qaeda ISIS base to Israel helped create Hamas to be a destabilizing force. The CIA in 53 overthrew Mossadegh, who was pro-West, but he wouldn't give them all the oil. Operation Ajax, then in 79, opened the door to bring with the Iran-Contra to push Carter out of power. Rodriguez was a weak president, but that's all the inside baseball. And I had family, by the way, involved in Iran-Contra, so I don't just know about it from the news or the Senate hearings. And so we have this continued funding the jihadis as a destabilizing force. Israel wants to break all these countries into balkanized statelets. That's also part of the policy that the corrupt people that have been in charge of our foreign policy have been doing. We have the New American Century that came out the year before 9/11, where Dick Cheney and Donald Rumsfeld, the neocons, said, we need a new Pearl Harbor to be able to launch all this and have a regime change in 7 countries. And you got Israel, part of that larger plan. So when Netanyahu gets up and says that we are defending civilization, I certainly don't want expansionist Orthodox Islam. I do see it as one, if not the biggest threats in the world. And I see it being brought in mass to Europe, the United States, Canada, you name it. And I'm actually against that. And I did not support Iran blowing up the Marines there at the embassy 40 years ago. I do not, 40 plus years ago, I do not support the mullahs and the things they've been doing. I do not support them killing people that peacefully protest with, hanging them from cranes. I did not support the Shah Savak before that. I know the history. I know the angles. I know the groups. I know what's happening. And, we're told, oh, Netanyahu 7 days ago, we're taking out their nuclear sites. And then actually, we're not negotiating. We want regime change. Then I know the Iranians will block the Strait of Hormuz. They've already said it. They can do it very easily. It's on their border. They can sink their own ships into it. Oil goes up to 130 conservatively, maybe even higher. And then that doubles the price index and inflation, and then that triggers higher interest rates, and that derails Trump's entire recovery. And that's on the low end of problems.
The government fears Alex Jones, who has the largest audience in the country, bigger than any of the networks, the biggest megaphone in the country.
The deep state hates Alex Jones with a vengeance.
Alex Jones is the most extraordinary person I've ever met.
Right now, not in a very good position. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. For the American people to see what's going on.
That those who bless Israel will be blessed. The reason you're not blessed, Alex Jones, the reason you're bankrupt, the reason that you've had the whole country, anyone who's sane, turn against you, is because you have lost the blessing of God.
One black man was murdered in Minnesota. His name was George Floyd, and tens of millions of people marched against his murder. God bless them. But for you, we need 49 other dead black men before they start marching.
I want you to know that I will die the way I was born, a believing Jew. That there is no power in the universe, including you, God, creator of heaven and earth, he who fills the infinite expanse of space. I, as a Jew, am stronger than you. My name is Israel, he who wrestles with God and is victorious. I will die with my faith intact. There is nothing you can do.
Candace, didn't Jesus say you're supposed to love your enemies? When Jesus said that you're supposed to turn the other cheek, where have you ever turned the other cheek? When Jesus said that the meek shall inherit the earth, if you are a Christian, then I am the second coming of Christ.
Okay.
Here's what I would like to say to you, Rabbi, since you're quoting scripture. The one that's relevant to me is woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness. And if you'd like to dive into a little more scripture, I think what's relevant is Revelation 3:9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. And I'm speaking directly to you, Rabbi SHMULEY.
Hi, I'm a Candace Owens Jew. I love Israel and I hate America. Dual loyalty. I'm filth, but I love cash. Love money. It's all about the Benjamins. Money, money, money. But more than anything else, what I really want, what my giant nose needs just to grow more warts is Christian blood.
We don't gas people.
Well, we're going to get a lot of Christian blood and other blood if this war goes to its possible Armageddon level crisis. So Rabbi SHMULEY is our guest at Rabbi SHMULEY on X, a stranger to no one. And, well, it's great to have him. We're going to break here in 2 minutes. We're going to join 400 plus radio stations. But I just wanted to say hello to you from Spain and hope you're doing well. And just give us your 2-minute take on where the world is right now.
John, Alex, first of all, thank you for having me. I also want to thank you for being the single biggest customer that we have at koshersex.com. It's only because of you I'm able to vacation in these places. So your steady support of all of the different, let's call them erotic devices that we sell, I am extremely grateful. We never thought that we would have just one customer who would kind of bankroll the entire operation. So this is my way of saying we're going to give you an extra 10% discount, because when you spend like $1 million on this stuff, you've earned it, Alex. And I look forward to our debate on Israel and the state of the world.
You and Mark Levin are big buddies too. Is he a big customer?
Not as big as you. You're actually the biggest customer. I mean, I really don't often speak about what people buy, but since you always bring it up, I just wanted to give you my gratitude. Gratitude is a very important Jewish value. So the idea that I can put all my kids through college because of you, Alex Jones, and your daily purchases, by the way, you should space them out a bit more. Sometimes we get 4 or 5 orders from you a day, and you would actually save on shipping and handling if you just combine them all as one.
Well, that's a very funny joke. I've never bought any of your butt plugs. Are you the Rabbi butt plug?
Well, you say that I am, but with all due respect, if I weren't a gentleman, I would say that with your golden, beautiful, balding scalp, you kind of look like maybe a walking human dildo. But I won't say that because I'm a gentleman. So I
Well,
don't think I'm
that
Rabbi
is actually,
Buck-Plug,
that is how women treat me. They just, everywhere I go, they can't keep their hands off of me. So I guess I do look like a walking penis.
Alex, I know. I mean, God Almighty, you probably also turning even men's sexual orientation with your incredible desirability. I mean, you are just the GOAT, man. You are just the guy.
Why are you suddenly telling the truth, Rabbi SHMULEY? Hold on a minute. All right, let's get serious. I got to go to break. This is insane. We're about to have the debate with Rabbi King of the Butt Plug, SHMULEY. And a hilarious guy. I mean, he really is funny. Rabbi SHMULEY, and very prolific, involved in all sorts of stuff. And constantly I see him all over the news, all over the world, on every show you can imagine. Rabbi SHMULEY on X, and best-selling author, 31 books, broadcaster, relationship expert, the author of Kosher Hate and the Israel Warrior. But I want to be serious in this discussion and debate here today with him, because I really don't want a nuclear war, and I don't want Iran to nuke Israel, and I don't want Israel to take us into war with Iran. I mean, this is a bad situation. So when I say a debate, we can debate different ideas about this, and we'll see if he does his normal thing of just claiming I hate Israel or whatever. But what I really hate is just endless war. But first, I want to get his take out of the gates on this. Just 30 minutes ago, Levitt, the press secretary, said now Trump is punting for 2 weeks. Is that a feint with the Iranians like we saw last week? And is going to give them a chance again after he said he wouldn't. Netanyahu doesn't want that. He wants regime change. Trump doesn't want to get sucked into a wider war. I believe that. That's been his policies in the past. And I think Trump's doing the best job he can. That said, I've been putting in my 2 cents with Tucker Carlson and Steve Bannon and others that this is a bad idea. But here's the press secretary, and I want to get Rabbi SHMULEY's take on it. Here it is.
Regarding the ongoing situation in Iran, I know there has been a lot of speculation amongst all of you in the media regarding the president's decision-making and whether or not the United States will be directly involved. In light of that news, I have a message directly from the president, and I quote, "Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks." That's a quote directly from the president for all of you today.
Now, I want to get SHMULEY's take on this, and I'm going to shut up for about 5, 6, 7 minutes, let him have the floor, because he's here, and we appreciate that, before I get into discussion with him on other issues and angles. Before I even saw the clip, I saw it on screen as it was live, and I said, get the clip, 30 minutes ago, as everybody saw. I said, now, when she says this is from the president. Now, I didn't know in the actual clip she says it's from the president. Everything she does is from him, okay? Because when Trump says stuff, you need to know it's from a spokesperson, not the stuff you hear. There's not a big split between him and Tulsi Gabbard. All that's BS. Same thing here. Oh, no, he's not really doing 2 weeks. No, he did. And I said, if she said that, that's from him. And he actually said that. So that is good news, because I don't want them to block the Strait of Hormuz and have $130 barrel oil. That's going to sink the economy bare minimum. Call it selfish, sure. But Israel's already taken out most of their stuff, so I don't see why this has to keep escalating. Rabbi SHMULEY, your take on that, and then what do you want to say up front? You got 6 minutes until I come back.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me, Alex, and it's good to be back. Look, you said that would I play this game of saying you hate Israel? No, you don't hate Israel. You hate America, because you think that Iran wants to destroy Israel. And because you're opposing an American strike on Iran, you think that I'm going to say you hate Israel. You actually hate America. Iran has murdered more than 1,000 American troops. They killed 241, as you well know, in 1983 in one bomb blast outside of Beirut when Ronald Reagan was president. And he was one of our strongest presidents. And all he did was hightail it out of the Middle East. Before that, we had the weakest president of modern history, Jimmy Carter, who allowed our embassy to be ransacked by these Iranian thugs and take 55 Americans hostage for 444 days. And Carter was crippled, absolutely crippled and defenseless. He created Islamism because he never fought Islamism. Then the Iranians went and attacked Khobar Towers. They killed 19 servicemen and women from the Air Force. Then they killed 600 American troops in Iraq, according to Pentagon estimates. We're already at over 1,000 American troops. So what I want to say to you, Alex Jones, is you seem to hate America and hate its military. Because if you believe that Iran should be able to kill American troops, they're our greatest heroes. I mean, I hope we could at least agree on that. Greater than politicians, greater than Hollywood actors, most of whom are frauds. Our servicemen and women are our greatest heroes. Iran has killed 1,000 of them, and they never paid a single price. They've been allowed to kill Americans with impunity. Iran just tried to assassinate the president of the United States. Let me repeat that for everyone listening, because it's so striking that they were not hit as soon as the FBI actually arrested an Iranian assassination squad. This wasn't in planning. It wasn't planning for 2 years, but this wasn't just an idea. They actually hired the assassins to kill Donald Trump. And Trump famously put out a tweet in the last 2 months of the election. He said, "I am now surrounded by more men with more guns than I've ever seen because Iran wants to kill me." And then Trump, once he became president, put out another tweet and he said, "I have told J.D. Vance that if Iran kills me, he is to destroy the entire country of Iran. He is to level." And by the way, that is the message, because you can't kill an American president and get away with it. Now, Biden was another complete weakling, and he undermined American military deterrence, because when you withdraw the American troops from Afghanistan, from Kabul, and you allow 13 American soldiers to die on the last day of the withdrawal with a suicide bomber which is blowing, and then you let the Taliban take $100 billion of our helicopters, our Blackhawks, our Apaches, and as if no war had taken place for 20 years, and so many thousands of American soldiers died. Biden was a weakling, and now there's no deterrence. And that's what allowed Putin to think, oh, America, I can just invade Ukraine. America's not going to do a thing. America's a bunch of weaklings. So don't tell me about hating Israel. It's about hating America. You seem to hate America, unless you think, and you want to tell me on the record, that Iran can kill in one strike 241 Marines and pay no price. The blood of our Marines cries out from the ground. Now let's go further. Iran only hates Israel because they think it's a proxy for the United States. Iran hates American secularism. They hate people like you, Alex Jones. They hate the fact that you can say whatever the heck you want on your show, and the most that's going to happen is that you may be sued. You were sued, but no one imprisoned you. That doesn't happen in Iran. If you lived in Iran and you expressed one negative opinion about Khamenei, you would have your testicles chopped off, and then you would be hung from a crane at a town square. You know that's true. They stone women to death. Forget LGBTQ. I don't know if you even care about LGBTQ, but they're human beings and God's children, and they're hung from cranes. Now, what Iran wants ultimately is to neutralize the United States. They're just not strong enough. So they choose the little Satan of Israel to destroy, because they can't harm the large Satan of America, with one exception: if you get a nuclear bomb. Because a nuclear bomb is a great equalizer. Just like Kim Jong-un in North Korea lied. You just said the president is punted for 2 weeks. He's going to negotiate. Do you remember when another weakling and coward named Bill Clinton sent the ultimate weakling and coward, Jimmy Carter, to negotiate with the North Koreans to stop them from getting a nuclear bomb? And Carter came back and said, "I succeeded." I mean, you can laugh at this stuff. Iran knows that once they get a nuclear bomb, they have tied Donald Trump's hands and any president who comes after him, and your hands, Alex Jones, and mine, and the entire United States military, from the Coast Guard to the Marines to the Navy to the Air Force, because you cannot have the risk of a nuclear bomb, which could fit into a little suitcase, detonating in New York City, detonating in Washington, D.C., detonating in San Diego. So what Israel is doing right now is actually saving the world from its two greatest threats. Number one, the Iranian terror menace, which has killed so many Americans. Even if you hate Jews, even if you don't care that Jews are dying, even if you don't care that an Israeli hospital where my first cousin was the chief doctor, the Soroka Hospital in Beersheba, was bombed today, even if you don't give a damn about Jewish hospitals, certainly you care about Americans. Israel, first and foremost, is stopping Iranian terror from killing Americans there. And number two, stopping Iran from killing an American president. And finally, number three, stopping Iran from getting a nuclear bomb, which they will absolutely use, because these people are religious frickin' lunatics. Now, I know that you, Alex, believe that 9/11 was an inside job. It's kind of sad that you say that. That's another example of your hating America. you blame America for killing 3,000 of its own citizens. If that's not demonic hatred of America, then nothing is. But that was peanuts. That was flying aircraft into tall buildings on the Pentagon. When you and these demented Islamists will do it. Islamism is the greatest threat to Western civilization. Not Islam. I never said Islam, which is a great world religion. Islamism is a genocidal, deathly blood cult, which uses fake Islamic piety to masquerade, to cover up its genocidal intention to destroy the great Satan death to America and destroy the tiny Satan, the Jews, and Israel. So why don't you now respond to me why you don't seem to give one damn that this country that you're saying we should not attack has killed more than 1,000 American servicemen and women whose blood cries out from the ground for frickin' vengeance and to be remembered.
All right. And you came right up on 6 minutes. You must have a timer there, Rabbi SHMULEY. So let's unpack this from the start of what you said. MI6, the CIA, and Israel are on record. U.S. aid, all of it. Just recently, Israel, Turkey, go in, take over Syria, put the world leader of al-Qaeda in charge. Humorous reports yesterday, Netanyahu setting up an al-Qaeda ISIS base to Israel helped create Hamas to be a destabilizing force. The CIA in 53 overthrew Mossadegh. It was pro-West, but he wouldn't give them all the oil. Operation Ajax. Then in 79, opened the door to bring with the Iran-Contra to push Carter out of power. I agree, was a weak president, but that's all the inside baseball. And I had family, by the way, involved in Iran-Contra, so I don't just know about it from the news or the Senate hearings. And so we have this continued funding the jihadis as a destabilizing force. Israel wants to break all these countries into balkanized statelets. That's also part of the policy that the corrupt people that have been in charge of our foreign policy have been doing. We have the New American Century that came out the year before 9/11, where Dick Cheney and Donald Rumsfeld, the neocons, said we need a new Pearl Harbor to be able to launch all this and have a regime change in 7 countries. And you got Israel, part of that larger plan. So when Netanyahu gets up and says that we are defending civilization, I certainly don't want expansionist Orthodox Islam. I do see it as one, if not the biggest threats in the world. And I see it being brought in mass to Europe, the United States, Canada, you name it. And I'm actually against that. And I did not support Iran blowing up the Marines there at the embassy 40 years ago. 40 plus years ago. I do not support the mullahs and the things they've been doing. I do not support them killing people that peacefully protest with, hang them from cranes. I did not support the Shah Savak before that. I know the history. I know the angles. I know the groups. I know what's happening. And, we're told, oh, Netanyahu 7 days ago, we're taking out their nuclear sites. And then actually, we're not negotiating. We want regime change. Then I know the Iranians will block the Strait of Hormuz. They've already said it. They can do it very easily. It's on their border. They can sink their own ships into it. Oil goes up to 130 conservatively, maybe even higher. And then that doubles the price index and inflation, and then that triggers higher interest rates, and that derails Trump's entire recovery. And that's on the low end of problems. Then you've got this new Vietnam situation with Israel openly having plans to try to send commandos in daringly, I'm not going to say it's not super daring, to go into the nuclear sites that are deep under the earth and try to take those out. And the Iranians, if Trump hits them, which they were going to do by tomorrow was the information I had, which they now admit. Now they've done a 2-week push out, and they told him these bunker busters may not get it. I'm not going to cry the mullahs fell, but then who knows what the West will put in after that, maybe break it in 3 pieces. It just goes on and on. I know too much. Then you bring up 9/11. My God, I interviewed the deputy head of New York Emergency Management, Barry Jennings, 2 weeks before he died, and he said, no, they blew up Building 7. They said, get out, we're blowing it up. CIA, FBI headquarters. They were on the news saying, we're going to blow it up. Later, they said, we didn't blow it up. Wasn't hit by an airplane. I know about all the different angles and all the different connections, and CIA and Mossad both shadowing the hijackers, and then 2 of the passports found the rubble the next day, and NORAD standing down, and Flight 93 being shot down when the orders were not followed by a general who went ahead and said, shoot it down. That was going to the Capitol. They were going to bring in full martial law. So this was the project for the American century false flag. It didn't mean there were some Muslims at levels involved. Doesn't mean Muslims don't want to blow us up. Like the first World Trade Center bombing, I interviewed the Egyptian security agent working with the FBI and CIA, Ahmad Salam, who they said, first cook a fake bomb, no cook a real bomb. Okay, now we're going to let him bomb it. He recorded them saying it to protect himself. So I'm not saying jihadi, expansionist, cancerous Islamists don't exist. To the contrary, I'm saying the West continues to back them, to fund them, to support them against Israel and against the West as a pretext for military expansionism, for defense spending, and for Netanyahu, who has been in power off and on for 25 years. His connections intimately involve the assassination of Yitzhak Rabin. All of this going on. Netanyahu, desperate man, in deep political trouble, very unpopular. October 7th stand down, the incredible, superb Israeli military. Obviously, no one can doubt for the size of their units, the best in the world at intelligence, at military, at everything. It's true. Amazingly taking out Hamas and Hezbollah all over the Middle East. The pagers, all of it. Then the daring, moving weapon systems in over 8 months in the Operation Rising Lion, targeting it with the drones and missiles, taking out the air defenses, taking out the leadership. And then magically October 7th, people that were already out of the military, veterans, had to get in their cars and drive down and fight when Hamas was attacking, backed by Hezbollah, which I said day one, and clearly a stand down to let it be as bad as possible, which is a microcosm of Israel and the U.S. and the U.K. particularly continuing to fund the very worst Islamicists as a pretext for destabilization. So that's the reality of all of this. And then I look at the fallout that all the actuaries from the RAND Corporation, the Pentagon show, it goes from bad to worse, bare minimum derailing our economic recovery, which the globalists do not want. And so that is, I'm saying, I'm told a week ago, take out the nukes, and they were successful. Now I'm told they're not. Now I'm told we might need boots on the ground. The Israelis are going to go in. And you got hospitals getting blown up. And I was told, oh, they can only launch 100 missiles a day, which we now see is not true. And I just see the world careening. Look, I'm not for the Russians. I'm not for the Ukrainians. I'm for world peace. I know NATO started that war. They admit it. So that goes into the same thing that the West is expanding. The West is the aggressor. The West is funding the jihadis. That is on record. U.S. aid, billions to Al-Qaeda and ISIS. And so you want to accuse me of supporting jihadis. You want to support... you're saying I support 9/11. No. You said I want to... Yeah. Stop, me finish. You're going to go in 30 seconds. I'm sorry. You are saying, because I gave you 6 minutes, I'm almost done. You are saying that I hate America. No, I love America, and I love world peace, and I'm not against Israel, and they're not going anywhere with nuclear weapons, so everybody better forget about that. Anybody trying to destroy Israel is going to try to start a nuclear war. I'm against it, okay? So that's the reality, and I actually... have real politique. I study all the issues, and this is out of control, and it's too dangerous, and everybody's looking at it one-dimensionally. Rabbi SHMULEY.
You know, Alex, a lot of people ask me, like, why do I do your show? They say he's a conspiracy theorist, and you're just going to offend, especially the families of the Sandy Hook massacre, and that was your lowest moment, Alex. I mean, you got to admit that was your lowest moment. And I say to them, I do a show. First of all, he allows other people to talk, which I respect. I said, secondly, he's actually very knowledgeable. I said, but the problem is, here's the third problem. Alex, we've become friends on the show. This is my second time. Whatever ketamine you're snorting or the half a pound of kilo of coke that you ingested before this show, sharing is caring, my brother. Why have you left me here all alone? Because you take facts and distort them with such insanity that someone as smart as you cannot. You're either doing it just to provoke, or you actually believe this crap, and then it's even scarier. So let's just go back for a second. Why do you stop at 9/11? If America's a false flag operation in 9/11 and the whole Iran thing is a false flag, let's go back to the American Revolution. George Washington was probably involved in a false flag operation because he wanted global expansionism against George III, who just wanted to contain everything through a continental system, like the way he fought Napoleon. Let's go to the War of 1812. That was probably, James Madison in a false flag operation. Civil War, God Almighty, Abraham Lincoln in the false flag operation at Fort Sumter. All Americans are liars. Our entire military is corrupt. That's why I say, and of course, you have to say that FDR was a false flag operation in Pearl Harbor. You hate the American military. Forget the CIA, which didn't even come into existence until after the Second World War. You hate the U.S. Army that just had its 250th birthday and beautiful celebration with President Trump on Saturday. You hate the Marines. You hate the Navy. You think they're all corrupt. They're all killers. They're all anti-American. I've never heard you say anything good about America. So you're an America hater. That's clear. And if you believe that any American in a senior position would kill 3,000 of his or her fellow citizens on 9/11, then you really think America's Satan, that it's demonic. In fact, you had the American Nazi Nick Fuentes on 2 days ago who called Bibi Netanyahu the Antichrist. You believe that Donald Trump's the Antichrist. You believe George W. Bush is the Antichrist. You believe Jimmy Carter's the Antichrist. You believe FDR. Every American president to you is evil to the core and just wants to kill Americans. You're the biggest America hater I've ever encountered. It's shocking and it's kind of sad because I love America. Now, the second point is, all right, did you seriously say that Netanyahu set up the al-Qaeda leader in Syria? Israel begged President Trump when he was recently in Saudi Arabia, and he skipped over Israel, even though he's Israel's greatest friend, to not stop the sanctions against this al-Qaeda president who actually looks amazing in a Savile Row bespoke tailored London suit. But let's not forget, a month ago, as you said, he was running around in fatigues, chopping people's heads off. We know exactly who this guy is. In Israel, the first thing, my children are in the IDF. I know it's operational, not just capacity, but I know a lot of its operations. The Israeli Navy, where my son was, went and sunk every single one of the president of Syria's naval ships so that he has no power. So you got to take that back because that's just insanity. Now, as far as Iran is concerned, you want to tell me that you have not watched that Iran is the cancer of Islamism throughout the world for 45 years? It didn't bother you that they took 55 American hostages, destroyed their lives? I remember that. I was 13 years old. Was that a false? I was also probably a false flag operator. That was Americans taking themselves hostage. Because in your worldview, Khamenei is always the good guy. Khomeini is your freaking hero. You probably have him tattooed on some private, part of your body that only the sun shines on. And any American president, the American populace, you absolutely despise. So I want to absolutely state clearly, the United States is the light. Iran is evil. The United States allows you, Alex Jones, to even spew your hatred against fellow Americans and won't even silence you. You were sued and you lost. I don't even know how you have the money to buy freaking clothes on your back, but no one put you in jail. If you were saying any of this in Iran, your head would be spewing blood out because it would be severed from your spinal column, and we all know that. My problem with you, Alex Jones, is that you refuse to call evil evil. Now, you say you want world peace. How the heck do you have world peace if you don't destroy those forces who are only interested in war, annihilation, and terrorism? The reason the never-ending wars are because we never stop fighting the bad guys. There wasn't an ended war called World War II because brilliant Franklin Delano Roosevelt went to Casablanca and without even asking Winston Churchill's permission at their first meeting when they were about to go to Tehran, very interestingly, in Iran and meet Stalin, he said unconditional surrender. And Churchill came and said, let's not tell Hitler unconditional surrender because then the Germans will fight to the last man, which is true. They even fought 1 week past April 30th, 1945, when Hitler blew his brains out. There was a Donitz government that lasted another 8 days because FDR said unconditional surrender. But unless we demand, as President Trump did brilliantly 3 days ago in a tweet, unconditional surrender from Iran, the more we talk to these liars, these killers, the more we are empowering them.
All right, SHMULEY, we got to go to break. It's a hard break. We'll be right back. I'll respond to what you just said. Stay with us. You have until Sunday, June 22nd, 2025 to take advantage of a sale we've never had before at thealexjonestore.com. You can get 2 bottles of liquid ultra-methylene blue medical grade, already discounted, and get a free bottle of our amazing Shilajit, the best Shilajit on the planet, the highest rated, for free. Or you can get 2 bottles of the same medical grade methylene blue encapsulated with vitamin C to supercharge it in your body, already discounted, with also a free bottle of Shilajit at thealexjonestore.com. These products are amazing. People absolutely love them. It funds the operation for all you that are on the fence that have never gone to thealexjonestore.com and gotten some of these supplements. They're all the very best, game-changing, highest rated. I'm only going to sell you something that really works. I want you to get it again and again and again. And you know the broadcast works when it comes to countering tyranny, promoting freedom. So get your high-quality supplements right now at thealexjonestore.com. All right, SHMULEY went about 5 minutes attacking me. I'm not going to spend 5 minutes responding to what he said. He's agreed to stay 15 minutes the next hour. The Dark Journalist is joining us. This is definitely riveting, thought-provoking stuff. And I'm listening to SHMULEY, what he rattled off earlier. is he knows his history so good. I like that. But he's the one twisting it. Because, yeah, there's been a lot of times in U.S. history where we would absorb an attack like Pearl Harbor. It's declassified. We knew it was coming. Parked the battleships, moved the aircraft carriers out, let them attack. And I, interviewed the son of the head admiral there. It's all come out. It doesn't mean America's bad. It doesn't mean that countries don't. I mean, I've said that. I've said you can't, say that Israel, the U.S.'s liberty, was like the greatest evil ever, though I didn't support it. And LBJ was involved in it. I interviewed everybody involved. I talked to the admirals that were told to stand down. That was to be blamed on Egypt. It failed. The ship wouldn't sink. I don't then say, well, Israel's the only one that involved false flags. I got all the Jew haters going, you're covering up from Israel saying LBJ was involved. I interviewed the Judge Advocate Generals, Admiral Moore, Chairman George Staff before they died on air. That was a false flag, just like Gulf of Tonkin didn't happen. And yeah, we blew up our own battleship in 1898 to blame it on the Spanish to start our empire. See, now we're getting into the dark side of the Force, a pathway that some people would call unnatural. And I'm saying this stuff needs to stop. And do these other countries do it? They all do it. The Russians do it. And the Chinese do it. False flag is taught at West Point. Once you become a Green Beret captain, you get read in on how to stage false flags. So, yeah, I know all about it. He's like, oh, you're saying your country's evil. No, I'm saying we need to know about these things and understand these and then move out of this system of deception. By way of deception, you will conquer, as the Mossad says. Well, by way of real light and exposing it, we will stop this garbage. And not by ascribing only Jews doing this, though they're very competent and do it very well. Let's start getting honest about it. We'll go back to SHMULEY in a minute. But since he asked me when I'm on 1 hour of abs today and 30 minutes on a rowing machine. And I haven't eaten yet today. And I already took methylene blue earlier before, as you saw, but I'm taking more. He did his sex toy company plug. I'm doing mine. The strongest medical grade methylene blue. I don't know if SHMULEY's ever taken this. I want to get him in studio. I'll fly him here next time he's back in the U.S. And this is what I'm on. Total mitochondria cleaning, next level energy. I add our medical grade, super high quality at InfoWarsStore.com. It's not at theAlexStore.com. The iodine is InfoWarsStore.com. We still have it. And this is amazing. And you want to know what I'm on? Iris CMOS, Shilajit. This right here. Look at that. That is power. I'm on intermittent fasting. I'm 8 at 3 o'clock today. And I stopped eating crap food, stopped drinking. That's what I'm on right there, baby. And it's amazing. Get yours right now at thealexstore.com. 2 bottles of ultramethylene blue capsules, supercharged organic vitamin C. Already discounted. Get a free bottle of Shilajit with it. Huge, huge, amazing value. thealexstore.com, or get the liquid 2 bottles discounted and a free bottle of Shilajit at thealexstore.com. A massive discount. 50% up if you sign up for auto ship on any future order. They hold it back so it never sells out. Cancel anytime. Become a subscriber at thealexstore.com on any supplement you never want to run out and lock in 50% off. That is massive. That sale ends Sunday. Widest selection of Patriot apparel. Funding ourselves with We the People. thealexstore.com. And then let me respond to him, and then we'll go to him. Sandy Hook. We put the graphs out, the Justice Department, the CIA, all of it. Never did the things they said I did. Raised $300 million in fundraising out my name saying I was attacking them. None of it was true. Judges found me guilty. Had show trials on HBO. It's all on appeal. None of it matters. I can work for other people. They'll never shut me up. So that's where we are. Bigger, stronger, faster. Just like the Democrats went after Trump with lawfare and all the lies, same groups. Paul Weiss, law firm, running it all, has confessed to illegal activity against Trump, paid a $40 million fine. And we're suing them, and more is coming. Absolute conspiracy against rights, co-conspirators. The DOJ's investigating with their task force on government weaponization. That's where I'm at, meeting with federal prosecutors at the highest levels. That's where we are. And the American Republic coming back stronger than ever, because I am dauntless and defiant against the tyranny that infests every society and the battle against good and evil in every soul and every heart and mind. And I don't subscribe evil to the Christians or the Jews or the Muslims themselves or to the Zoroastrians or the Buddhists or the agnostics. But I ascribe it to people that engage in it, and I'm here to show you the magic trick. I'm here to show you how the tricks work so that people can transcend the level of barbarism and deception and manipulation, and by way of truth, we will conquer. That is the truth. Here's a 1-minute breakdown on how great methylene blue is, and we'll go to Rabbi SHMULEY, who will have the floor for at least 7-8 minutes. Go ahead.
My friends know that I usually think everything's a scam, from supplements and products and vitamins. I don't take anything. I usually buy it, try it, don't feel the results, end up tossing it and wasting money. So I love Alex Jones and the InfoWars crew, and Alex kept playing this video of Robert Kennedy Jr. putting some blue drops in what looked like water. And I wanted a way to support the team, so I decided to buy this methylene blue. This methylene blue, it is tremendous. I would not be making this video if I didn't believe in it. After I take it throughout the day, I start feeling better and better and better. My workouts, I feel like I'm 15 years younger than I am, and the app that I record my running on proves that my workouts are getting better. So I gotta tell you what, God, family, country, InfoWars, and methylene blue. Get it while you can.
All right, Rabbi SHMULEY, but particularly eloquent today and patient. You got the floor.
You know, firstly, Alex, let me just congratulate you on the most seamless transition from history and debate into plugging your methylene blue that I've ever seen. I mean, you are freaking that transition, baby. That's good. That's an Academy Award performance just right there. And you are looking very jacked. I have to admit that you are physically, if we were to judge books only by their cover, that's a gorgeous cover. Unfortunately, the content of the book, is there a methylene blue to cleanse your mind of all these crazy, insane ideas that animate you and actually make you believe you're the only truth teller in America? So let me just get this straight. Every American that has ever lived is a lying piece of crap. And America is corrupt to the core. But there's one man who emerged like the Messiah straight out of Nazareth. Beautiful, balding Alex Jones with his methylene blue, and the only man who tells the truth and says it like it is. Oh, yeah, Jesus. Alex Jones. The level of self-absorption and narcissism that you are the only truth teller among the, say, 1 billion Americans that have ever lived. You know, I bet you probably believe that, I don't know, the Boston Massacre was also a false flag, right? That was Samuel Adams and John Adams and Thomas Jefferson shooting their fellow countrymen to wage war. I mean, is there anything righteous America has ever done? Every war, George Washington, just call him a traitor right now. That was his false flag operation. I mean, I think that the whole thing of a Valley Forge was a bunch of crap. They probably were wearing Ferragamo, Italian tailored shoes, and they just took pictures of them being barefoot. Every American thing is a lie, and America's corrupt to the core. That is your message. It's not mine. I think that's a repulsive message. I think that's a disgusting message. America's the greatest nation the world has ever seen. Does it have some problems? Of course it does. It has some, but it has the great blessing that we all strive for, freedom. It's what you want to deny the Iranian people. You want an Iranian woman to walk out showing a little bit of hair and to be frickin' brutalized and tortured to death. You want an Iranian, do you know how you get divorced in Iran if you're a man and you're no longer attracted to your wife? She hit 40, 50, her breasts are sagging or something, and it's very easy. In America, you got to pay half your assets. What a pain in the butt. In Iran, all you do is accuse her of adultery. And luckily, in Sharia law and in Islam, the woman is guilty until proven innocent. So she has to bring witnesses to show that she was not adulterous. And if she can't find those witnesses to say that she didn't sleep with another guy, then the husband can either divorce her, or even better, as in the famous story of the stoning of Soraya M., which was written by a French journalist, turned into a award-winning film. She's dug into a pit. An Islamic mother is dug into a frickin' pit with her arms straddled by the earth. And then her male progeny, her male issue, meaning her frickin' sons, have to come with big boulders and crush her skull. And you want that damn government not only to continue, but you will vindicate them while you implicate the United States. And I find that an abomination. And I'll go further. Alex, if you just worked on your voice just a little bit, if it wasn't as gravelly, if it was a bit more soft toned, you could be the new new Japanese or Iranian Tokyo Rose. You sound exactly like Tokyo Rose. You would be the guy speaking to American troops as they're at Guadalcanal, as they're in as they're flying the Enola Gay to drop an atomic bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. You'd be the voice saying, "Oh, or you guys are being manipulated by your governments, your presidents. Well, why not go home to your mom?" That's what you're saying. You are the American male Tokyo Rose. I know the difference between good and evil, and you don't. So you can jack up your whole freaking body, but that doesn't mean that your brain isn't going to remain mush, Alex Jones. If you don't see that Israel, which is a free country, you can go to Israel right now. And I watched this. I was just there 2 weeks ago. You can watch thousands of Israelis marching outside of Benjamin Netanyahu's house. They call him Hitler. They call him worse than Khamenei. They call him a killer. And you know what happens to them? Nothing. Zero. Just like nothing's going to happen to you, even though you curse out America and make so much freaking money off of it. Nothing's going to happen to you unless you defame people and you get sued. Okay. But in Iran, you would be castrated and murdered instantly. In any of Israel's Arab neighboring countries, you would be, even countries that I kind of admire because they're trying to reform, Saudi Arabia. You criticize the government. There was just a story today. A guy wrote a tweet against the government and he was decapitated. You want to deny people freedom, and that's what kills me. The greatest proof that you are lying through your teeth, with all due respect, the greatest proof, Alex Jones, that you are not the great truth teller that you say you are, is the fact that you are able to say what you want to say while defending governments that deny that same right. You're a liar, because these governments don't allow their citizens to utter a syllable, and Israel does. And let me just be clear. What you've done is you've taken the ultimate anti-Semitic trope of Jews being the world conspirators. The Jews are bankers, and Jews are, the protocols of the old design. And you have to. I have to admit, you are an equal opportunity offender. You said, by the way, it's not just the Jews who suck. It's not just the Jews who are evil and who are trying to create wars like the Rothschilds in the First World War. Funding the Axis, funding the Allies. It's actually everybody. So in that sense, I want to thank you for extrapolating beyond your immediate anti-Semitism to kind of make the whole world Jewish, and the whole world sucks, and the whole world is corrupt, except one man, the Messiah who rose on the third day, Alex Jones, straight out of Texas. Alex, stop your America hatred. If Iran gets a nuclear bomb, we're all frickin' goners. You and I won't be talking anymore. We won't be debating. We will be incinerated. So let me put one simple question to you. Do you believe that Iran wants a bomb? And if they do want a bomb, what would you do about it?
All right, there's a lot to unpack there, but let's just start here. You didn't respond, and just write this down, or you have a good memory. So just remember this. You didn't respond to Israel openly backing, along with Turkey and NATO. So I didn't just blame Israel. I laid it all out. Putting the former head of al-Qaeda in charge of Syria right now. You didn't respond to that. You didn't.
I did respond to that. I told you Israel actually protested to Donald Trump for removing sanctions. They destroyed his entire Navy. Of course they objected. That is just totally fraudulent. You are just inventing.
You're not. I let you talk. See,
Israel does not. Okay, go ahead.
SHMULEY, you can't do that. I was quiet.
Tokyo, Alex, you have the floor.
Just stop. Come on. If you want to act like the West, not just Israel, has been
Tokyo, Alex, go ahead.
Been funding these people. Come on, just stop. So, there it is, your own newspaper. So, look, what I'm trying to say here is, I love America. I will admit America does dirty stuff, and it needs to stop it, because I can see second, third, fourth effects of these things, not looking at it first dimensional, one-dimensional. So you keep saying that I support what Iran does. I don't support Iran. I have been saying for 15 years, Iran has atomic weapons. Okay? I had Syrian girl on yesterday. No, you're wrong. Everybody, oh, no, you're wrong. No, I know. I'll just leave it at that. They have atomic bombs. It's true when Netanyahu said 25 years ago they were close. They got them about 15 years ago. We got snoopers. Not just the Israelis have spies. We got systems that pick up the isotopes. We know they got the material. They can put it together in an hour, okay? They probably got the bombs actually made. But the point is, they've got more than 9 bombs, like Netanyahu said. So let's get that part straight, that I've said that. My issue is not dealing with that. My issue is dealing with the fact that Israel wants a regime change. And if you look at the chances of that, it goes from bad to worse. And they will block the Strait of Hormuz, and it will double interest rates. And you got the big globalist bankers that didn't bring Jews into it, but whoever the big bankers are, and they don't want the Trump recovery, and this will derail that. And so that's my concern there. So you're not addressing what I'm saying about this. We were told a week ago, oh, it's stop their nuclear program. Now it's make them leave. Now it's regime change, no surrender. So we're being walked into this disaster. Trump had to get Pakistan in meetings a few days ago because they were saying unite the Arab world, Muslim world against Israel, and they've got nukes. And this just gets worse and worse and worse from there on out. So that's what I'm trying to get at here. And no, it's not, oh, I've expanded my anti-Semitism to everybody. That's not even what I'm doing. Let me ask you a question, and you can elaborate and respond back. But let me answer your other question. I think I just answered it. What was your exact question? Do I want Iran to get a bomb?
No. I said, do you believe that they want a bomb? And if they do, and you're saying they already have it, what would you do about it? You'll just let them keep it and hold it over the United States and the civilized world as the ultimate.
Okay, so let me answer that question because I forgot it, and there's a lot of points.
Yeah. What would you do about? What are you going to do about them having an atomic bomb? Let them have it and just blackmail us forever and kill us forever, kill our Marines forever. We can never respond because they're going to detonate it in Manhattan.
Okay, I would love to have the mullahs not in power. I've been on record 30 years on air for that. So let's get that part straight. My issue is that if you corner the mullahs, there is a good chance they're going to launch their weapons. And so Netanyahu said 25 years ago they're 2 weeks away. Well, they weren't exactly, from my intelligence, that people that were there and saw it, on the ground scanners and from the air, they've got the material because they can scan these vehicles and stuff. They've been moving it around. They could, like, that big caches of weapons grade. So we know they've got it. And it's not hard to put it together with the simple atomic bomb with the jacketed explosives and then the uranium. So you extrapolate that out, they got the bomb. So and people go, well, God, that adds to Israel's argument. I'm just going to tell people what I know. All I'm saying is, you look, Russia has all these bombs. China has all these bombs. North Korea. This is the Atlantean moment. Whether Atlantis existed or not, we're told in the fables by Plato that they had this super technology and it blew up their whole continent. Whether that existed or not, we're at that Atlantis moment. So the bigger problem is this is all proliferated. This is everywhere. Where does it stop? Does Israel have to go into Pakistan next because they've got nukes? We know Saudi Arabia's got nukes. They've got them right now in Pakistan. So that's old technology. We do have all these super weapons Trump has talked about. I'm having a larger, serious discussion about the danger of doing this. And I understand Israel's argument that if you give them the bomb, which they have, now they have delivery systems, and we've proven they can get through the missile defenses. I get that argument. I'm just saying, you look at the different actuaries, most of them lead to disaster. And so then what do you do about that?
You know, all you did was prove my entire argument. Here you are saying, you're saying directly that America, the most powerful nation in the history of the world, Rome at its imperial height under Hadrian, under Julius Caesar, under Augustus, could not even begin to fathom the kind of American might that we project. We have troops in 180 nations. You're saying that this superpower should surrender because you're already afraid of the mullahs. I mean, Alex, your cowardice is just so frickin' unsexy. Maybe that's why you have to buy so many of our supplements on kosher sex. You're telling me, I'm afraid they're going to close the Straits of Hormuz and I may have to pay $150 a barrel for oil. Well, Alex, sure takes a lot to make you courageous, huh? You're afraid of high gas prices. Then you say to me, they already have a bomb and they're going to detonate it. You're just a scaredy cat. You believe in American surrender. I believe in American projection of deterrence, of military deterrence. I believe that when you show strength, you actually make the bully in the classroom capitulate. Iran is a frickin' bully. Now, there's one problem with all the examples that you gave. Pakistan, by the way, is a democracy, a flawed democracy. But yes, they have nukes. India has nukes. There's one mistake that you made. every one of the countries you named, and including ones that you didn't, like North Korea, their first objective is self-preservation. And that's why we're not as afraid of them having nukes. France has nukes. They're not part of NATO. Pakistan is an Islamist country, but their first objective is self-preservation. Even Erdogan in Turkey wants to preserve themselves. The problem with nuclear weapons is when regimes whose first priority is exporting revolution gets them, like Nazism. Hitler's first objective was not self-preservation. When his own soldiers were starving and freezing to death in November, December 1942, and finally surrendered under Field Marshal Paulus in January 1943, they surrendered in Stalingrad, the first great defeat, because Hitler's trains were taking Jews to Auschwitz, Birkenau, Majdanek. They weren't bringing food and supplies to Hitler's soldiers. They had to be supplied by Hermann Goering and his fake Luftwaffe. And that's the real reason that Hitler lost the war, because he put the annihilation of the Jews before his own self-preservation. When Hitler gave his last will and testimony 6 hours before he took a Lueger and put a bullet through his brain, and his wife of 12 hours, Eva Braun, took a cyanide capsule, he brings Traudl-Junge, his secretary, and he dictates his last will and testimony. And what's on his mind? Not Germany, not winning the war. His whole last will and testimony, only which one copy remains, was, I'm so proud that I won the war because I killed all the Jews. That was on his mind. That's the problem with Iran. Iran is not into self-preservation. Iran is into martyrdom. They will use a nuke because they want to kill you more than they want to stay alive. Khamenei is a radical Islamist who wants to murder you, Alex Jones, and he doesn't care about the repercussions for his people. That's why the Iranian regime is so unpopular among its own people, because the people know that the regime doesn't care about them. That's why Hitler gave his last speeches in 1944. That's why Hitler never visited a single city, not Cologne, not Berlin, not Hamburg, not Dresden, that was bombed, because he didn't care about the people. And the Germans saw that. So
well,
the last year of the
he
war,
did actually say if the Germans don't win, they deserve to die. So what you?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
So let me.
And then he ordered, and then he ordered his ministers to completely destroy the country. But my point is, Iran having a nuclear bomb is so much more destructive and dangerous because they will use it because they don't care about the repercussions. Here you are, Alex Jones, worried about the Straits of Hormuz, price of oil, a nuke going off in New York. They don't care about any of that. You could destroy the whole Iran. They're going to 70 virgins in heaven. They're not even going to have to buy anything from our kosher sex store because they're going to give it. The angel Gabriel and Raphael are going to be, passing it all out in heaven. So they're going to a better reality than this crap world that they hate. And that's what's so terrifying about them. They must be stopped.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think, make your call now, do you think Trump's going to hit Iran?
Absolutely.
When?
I'll tell you why. I think it's even before 2 weeks.
So you think just like last week, he's suckering him in, like he hit some of the next?
Well, I'll tell you. I'll tell you why Trump's going to hit Iran. Because the Trump doctrine comes down to one word. It's called strength. It's not even like, Russell Crowe in that great movie, Gladiator, Strength and Honor. It's strength, 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 strength. The idea that a tiny little country like Israel is taking out America's foremost enemy that took over our embassy, like you said, 46 years ago, and Trump sits on the sidelines, he's never going to let that happen. The idea that Netanyahu will be the Churchill of his time and there will not be a partner like FDR, there will not be a partner called Donald Trump, the president's never going to allow that. The idea that this tiny country, Israel, is fighting a six-front war, Hezbollah, the Houthis, Gaza, Lebanon, Judea and Samaria, and the United States military, 2 million strong, greatest power in history, sits idle, I don't think Trump's going to allow that. Strength, strength, strength. That's the Trump doctrine.
We'll be right back in 2 minutes. Stay with us. I have spent a lot of time the last few months talking about methylene blue and the fact that we have the best medical grade made right here in America, ultra methylene blue, at theyellowshowstore.com. You've seen Robert F. Kennedy Jr. talk about methylene blue and how amazing it is. You've seen Joe Rogan. You've seen just countless amazing and obviously vibrant people like Mel Gibson Talk about the fact that there's nothing else like it.
Mel Gibson also praised methylene blue on Joe Rogan recently.
This stuff works, man. Well, my medical doctor told me 6 years ago to go get USP grade. He didn't sell it, but he said it would clean up my mitochondria because he did some tests, a genetic test on me, and found out I had issues with mitochondrial function like a lot of people, particularly Northern Europeans. And I went and got a so-called USP grade, felt a little bit, but I would forget to take it. When we got our sponsors and they said, hey, try this, see if you like it, it was 10, 20 times stronger. I don't know, just next level, just what I felt within 15 minutes. And since then, my skin, my libido, my energy, it's been nothing short of amazing. Well, a lot of people have gotten it and love it. But for those of you on the fence who have never gotten it, we have the liquid and we also have it encapsulated so you can travel with it, share it with supercharged vitamin C that just absolutely takes it right out of the cells. Right now, discounted when you get 2 bottles, and you get a free bottle of the very best, highest rated Shilajit. And that would take an hour to get into Shilajit. Go look into it for yourself. Only bringing the very best super compounds know to be so good for you and that you really feel and get great results from, so you come back and get it again and again. But go research Shilajit for yourself. But get 2 bottles of either type of methylene blue, already discounted, and get a free bottle of Shilajit until this Sunday, the 22nd of June. Energy and stamina, muscle recovery, immune system, detoxification, mood and stress reduction, cognitive and heart health, testosterone boosting and vitality, wellness, and so much more from this Shilajit that's a private label of the best, strongest, cleanest Shilajit that you can get anywhere in the world from the best deposits. Get it now, right now, at thealexjonesstore.com. All right, we got a little short 5-minute segment. We'll do about 7-8 minutes after that, and then Dark Journalist takes over to give his take on COG, the nuke bombers ready, the doomsday planes ready. I mean, this is really dangerous stuff. Look, Rabbi SHMULEY, you keep saying I don't care about Iran, all the rest of the stuff. Iran now claims they're trying to come to the table. And if Israel said they just want to take out their nuclear capacity, reportedly most of that's taken out. Are you just, period, you want regime change no matter what, and you're willing to roll the dice because that's the tough thing to do, and just go into this war that even most of the Pentagon's advising Trump has so many dangerous ramifications from it?
I want an end to the endless wars. And the only way you end an endless war is by taking out the enemy that perpetuates the endless war. Iran is the cancer of the world order of the past half century. You said it yourself. All of the terrorism comes from Iran. All of the threats come from Iran. The Islamism comes from Iran. That's why Jimmy Carter will go down in him. It's sad. He died at 100, not looking all that great, but that's a long life. But his legacy is garbage. He'll be with Warren G. Harding, James Buchanan as one of the 3 worst presidents in American history. Because however bad the Shah was, and you mentioned the Savak, and the Savak, according to the best estimates, killed about 3,000 people. Of course, that's 3,000 too many. That's disgusting. But Khomeini kills that in like an hour every single day. There's gradations of bad. I happen to know the former Shah's family, and I happen to have hosted his son, the Crown Prince, who doesn't want the restoration of even a constitutional monarchy. He actually wants the restoration of democracy. But Iran is always the problem. Without regime change, what are you going to get? There's any piece of paper they sign is the Munich Agreement of September 1938, where Chamberlain came back looking like an idiot and waving a piece of paper. And by the way, it wasn't just bad for Chamberlain's legacy. Of course, Chamberlain today is synonymous with weakness and capitulation and surrender. It was terrible for his health. After Churchill becomes the prime minister in 1941, Chamberlain is still a cabinet secretary, and he dies of a stroke. It broke him. It broke him to know that he was played by Hitler. Now, President Trump is 79 years old. He's the most robust 79-year-old that I've ever seen, okay? Whatever his frickin' supplements are, well, we should all be taking. But at 79 years old, I want to see our president strong, robust, and determined. He has got to bring about an end, finally, to the Iranian threat to the United States that every other president has failed at. Okay, I told you.
So the U.S. hits Iran, and it just keeps unfolding. Israeli commandos try to go into these bases. Does the U.S. need boots on the ground? Are you calling for U.S. boots on the ground?
No, absolutely not. No. I want one thing. Israel has never had, Bobby Kennedy features in some of your ads. He's a very close friend. Bobby and I talk about this all the time. Robert Kennedy Sr. went to Israel when he was 23 years old in 1948, and he wrote 5 articles for the Boston Herald. And what electrified him as a Bostonian Catholic, who would later become, Attorney General, assassinated in 1968, was that Israel was fighting its war completely by itself, even though these were Holocaust survivors. I don't want to see one American soldier defending Israel, and one American soldier has never defended Israel. An American soldier has never put feet on the ground in Israel to fight in Israel's 76-year history. What I want is just two things from President Trump. The 30,000-pound bunker busting bomb, which Israel does not possess. And the second thing is the B-2 plane to drop it. That's it. Now, I've been speaking to government officials as well. And I know that Tulsi Gabbard, who's a friend of mine, who I honored for her support of Israel, did a giant dinner in 2016 with Sheldon Adelson, Miriam Adelson. You could look at the pictures. She was a congresswoman from Hawaii. I know that she's been telling the president that this bomb isn't going to work. You may need 2 or 3, but unless you take out Fordo is where all of the enriched uranium is being kept. That is a threat to the world. What is the risk of us dropping 4 or 5 of those 30,000-pound buster without putting any troops on the ground? In fact, Israel has so decimated Iran's aerial combatant capacity to stop bombers that there's no danger to our pilots, thank God. But you cannot leave Fordo intact. And I'll tell you something. I'm saying this even though it affects me personally. My father was born in Isfahan, Iran. I'm half Persian.
Hold on, stay there. We got a 60-second break. Rabbi SHMULEY, let's come back on this on the other side. I want to finish up on this Fordo attack. We'll be right back. Look, I believe in America, and I believe in freedom. And that's why I'll have a Nick Fuentes on one day and a Rabbi SHMULEY a few days later, is because I just want to put all the topics out there and let people really get into the issues and have a real discussion and debate about it. But Rabbi SHMULEY, and I want to finish this point about being of Persian Jewish derivation. He got caught up by the hard brakes. We have satellite brakes. Remember, I've been on the air 30 plus years, so we're still on a bunch of talk radio stations. So when they try to take us off the air, I still stayed on air. So that's why they're hard brakes. People always say, you just censored, you went to break. No, we have brakes at 58 after, and then a 5-minute segment, because some stations don't carry that, and then at 6 after, and then at 28 after, and then that's it. So that's the brakes. They're hard. So I wasn't cutting them off. We had to go to break. Satellites, or we could stay on air, but it's only on the internet. We're not on the radio stations. But he said, why would you be against dropping bunker busters on this final nuclear site under this mountain where we know they've got the stuff? Well, because Iran is going to block the Strait of Hormuz, and it said they're going to target U.S. bases, and then Trump is going to have to go to full war with them, which he says he doesn't want. So finish your thing about being of Iranian derivation or Persian.
Well, what I said was that my asking that a bunker buster bomb be dropped on Fordo. Fordo is right outside of the city of Isfahan. Isfahan is the ancient imperial capital of the Persian Empire, when Persia really meant something before it was taken over by these lunatics like Khomeini and Khamenei. And by the way, you talk about conspiracy stuff. Does Khamenei want his son to take over for him? It was kind of interesting when the president of Iran 6 months ago, gets into a helicopter. The other 2 helicopters arrive, and he's blown to smithereens, and he was supposed to be the successor. And now this is going to be a dynasty. Khamenei's just stealing the entire country. He's one of the richest men in the world while these people are starving. And of course, over the past 10 years, their GDP is down more than 45%. But Isfahan is a beautiful imperial capital, and it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And that's where my father was born. And although my father left to go to Israel in the early 1950s, he left Iran, but Iran never left him. I'm very connected to the Iranian culture. I love Iranian food. My Ashkenazi Jewish wife from Australia had to learn to make my father happy before he passed away. I miss him every day. How to make formé sabzi, and it's the best cuisine in the world, and Persian music. Who wants to see Isfahan, the ancient imperial capital, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, destroyed? But if we have to choose, God forbid, between the island of Manhattan and Isfahan, I'm going to have to choose the island of Manhattan, because America's freedom and Iran is evil. Now, everything that I say we need to do, your only response is how scared you are. You are just so scared, Alex. I mean, if you were sitting in the Constitutional Convention of 1775, when we had 250th birthday of the American Army, when they appointed a lowly colonel, George Washington, to be the commander of the Continental Army, you're one of the guys who would have had 50 objections. George III is going to hang us. George III is going to block our port.
Okay, well, that's not true. So let's just hold on. You're not answering my question. Hold on. I'll give you plenty of time. I'm asking you a question. Go back. It's not. I'm asking you. You said all you got to do, all Trump needs to do is bomb Iran with bunker busters. And I said, no, that's not all that's going to happen. This is going to happen. And then you say, oh, you're just scared. We need Trump's recovery to happen. We need interest rates to be cut. We don't need to double inflation. Do you know what that'll do? You say that's fear. No, it's reality. Respond to what I said instead of saying I'm this big scaredy cat that takes on the deep state.
Well, you know what? It's funny. When the United States, when Franklin Delano Roosevelt had to fight the entire American populace that was deeply isolationist in the late 30s and early 40s, their main argument was the argument that you said. We were just coming out of not a recession, but a depression. And actually, it was America entering the war that increased vastly industrial capacity and made America the superpower it is today. Wars can go in two different directions. On the contrary, America may emerge now without having to worry about the Strait of Hormuz ever again because the entire Iranian regime will collapse. Every intelligence assessment from every agency on earth, and you don't trust any of them, but other people do, all estimate that the Iranian people want this regime to crumble and die. And that's why they have to use such repressive methods. The only thing that keeps Khamenei in power is the IRGC, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. That is a terrorist proxy army that is not designed to protect the people. It's designed to protect the regime. Now, when you say there will be consequences, of course there's possible consequences. Of course, the fog of war, many things can happen. But you cannot take a chance with a nuclear bomb. It's the reason why Franklin Delano Roosevelt, rated was one of our three greatest presidents, started the Manhattan Project. Roosevelt didn't know a lot about nuclear science back then, and no one knew if a bomb would even work till they detonated in the deserts of New Mexico. Even Oppenheimer didn't know if it would work. They built the bomb because they were afraid that Hitler was building a bomb. And Hitler had some of the greatest nuclear scientists in the world, like Heisenberg, who were working on his bomb, who became Nazis. And that's how the atomic age even started. Now, in the end, Hitler did not have a bomb. So you could say, why'd we do all this? Well, you know what? We may have saved 1 million American
No. British
Marine
Special
lives.
Forces went in and took out their heavy water and all the rest of it.
Well, Hitler kind of gave up building it because he thought that all nuclear science was Jewish science, and he hated Jews so much that he even was prepared, as I said before, to destroy himself. Who is dumb enough to kick Albert Einstein out of your country and let him live in Britain?
Shmuley,
That was Adolf Hitler.
I'm not saying Jews aren't real smart, but it was Max Planck did the equations.
No, you're a smart guy. You're a smart
Well, let's just
guy.
move
You're a
on.
very smart
Let's
guy,
just move
Alex.
on. Hitler was not investing enough into super weapons, and I'm glad he lost. But the point is it was Max Planck created the equations. It's true that Jewish scientists took those equations and expanded on them, but it's Max Planck. Germans created the equations for the atomic bomb.
Well, you have Niels Bohr, who was Jewish. You have Blizzard, who was Jewish. I'm not saying that Jews created atomic bombs. Oppenheimer was certainly Jewish. On the contrary, I could live without.
No. Jews did finally actually make it. Oh, stop. Let's give Jews the credit for this great thing. No, the Jews finally took the theoretics and did it. So let's just be, Jews created the bomb, Germans theorized it.
Correct. And Hitler kicked them all out because that's how much he hated Jews. And that's why he didn't believe that atomic energy was actually something that would work. But my point is, all of the fears that you have, Strait of Hormuz, boots on the ground, crazy escalation in oil prices, possible war, I'm not saying they're not real. I don't think they're probable, but they're possible for sure. But that pales into insignificance to Iran getting a bomb. It's bad enough that Kim Jong-un has a bomb.
But you understand, we heard
Jong-un,
Saddam had WMDs. We heard Gaddafi. You see that? Gaddafi's going to have a nuke. Gaddafi bent over to the West, gave him
Gaddafi was working on a bomb. And the reason why he was brought into the family of nations is because he actually revealed his atomic program.
How did it work out for him? How did it work out for him with Hillary Clinton?
And by the way, Saddam Hussein was working on a bomb. Israel destroyed the Ozark reactor in 1981. There's no question that Saddam was working on a bomb. So Israel's intelligence was correct in 1981. No one disputes that. American intelligence, the CIA, was wrong under George W. Bush in 2003. But Israel took out the Syria nuclear reactor under Assad. That was real. They took out the Oziraq reactor under Saddam Hussein. That was real. And now Israel is taking out the Iranian nuclear reactors. Now,
and does Israel, and Shmuley, does Israel have nuclear weapons?
I think they probably absolutely have many nuclear weapons.
Yeah, thousands, not hundreds. So
I don't know about thousands, but they definitely have a serious. And the reason why it's okay for Israel to have a nuclear arsenal is, first of all, never again has to mean never again. We're not going to allow a second Holocaust. And secondly, Israel's a responsible country. Look, Israel could have ended the war in Gaza in one day.
What is the Samson option?
The Samson option is a biblical story about Samson being left completely alone and deciding he's going to take down all the Philistines with him because he had no other choice. Israel, thank God, is not in that position whatsoever. Israel is the second or third strongest military power on earth, even though it only has a population of 10 million and only 6 million are drafted. Remember, Israel is a reverse apartheid. Everyone says Israel's an apartheid state. It is an apartheid state against Jews, because it only drafts Jews into its army. Arabs don't have to be drafted into the army. They're not compelled to serve. My sons are they moved to Israel. They didn't have to serve at all. My sons have been in these wars in Gaza, Lebanon for the past 2 years. But my Arab brothers and sisters, full citizens of Israel, are not drafted. And Alex, the one thing you and I can finally agree on in this long broadcast, which I've enjoyed, and by the way, I want to credit you for letting me speak. That's what I've always enjoyed about your program. You're very fair to your guests. But let's have one thing that we do agree on, which is America was ripped and torn asunder in the 1960s over one issue. It was called Vietnam. It was called the draft. The draft is what tore it apart. In Israel, Jews are drafted, Arabs are not, and the Jews do not object. My sons are right now risking their lives in places that I cannot mention to protect Israel's Arab citizens, which is 1/4 of the Israeli population.
Rabbi SHMULEY, we're out of time. You can come back again. We can debate this again. I want this war to stop, and I'm very concerned. You call it fear or whatever. We've seen all these wars. It's out of control, and I appreciate you coming on the show. And I really want world peace. Thank you for joining us.
If you defeat evil, we'll have world peace. God bless you, Alex. Take care.
Take care. I need support. We are maxed out, and I can do so much more in offense, guaranteed beat them even faster in court, and got this other stuff going on. I'll leave it at that with the Justice Department, the good guys coming in, and the task force on weaponization, that I need funds. So I need you to go to thealexjonesstore.com, subscribe as your monthly donation for $30 a month as a VIP, and know you're doing that bare minimum of support, cancel anytime, not a very hard commitment. You just do it month to month, you charge $30, you're a VIP, and when you want a t-shirt or you want a supplement, you get it because it'll just build up in your account. $40 to spend in the store. You spend $30, you get $40, automatic discounts on everything, special sales, special offers. I'm asking everyone to commit who's never supported the broadcast by buying anything to become a VIP today at thealexjonesstore.com. And then you know you're doing the monthly support, ever have an issue, don't want to do it, cancel. It's one click, it's your profile. But by being a VIP, you get massive discounts, special offers, and so much more at thealexjonesstore.com. And it's a way to show your support. We need your backing. I am 100% dauntless. If anything, I get overheated because I've got so much energy and I'm so angry at these people, and it bleeds off into my life. I need your backing. I'm backing you. Quite frankly, if you don't back me and my crew, what we're doing, you're nuts. And I'm not mad at you. I'm just saying you're crazy. Evil hates this transmission. We've got their number. And if you don't back the organizations fighting with everything they've got for you, because we're all in this together, well, you've rolled over. You've run up the line flag, quite frankly. And that's what this is. People ask, man, thanks for fighting. Thanks for never giving up. Wow, why does it break your spirit? It intensifies my spirit. To know we're up against pure evil and we're turning the tide and we're winning. And then to know that if we don't fight hard, they're going to win and commit humanity to a nightmare of evil. You think stuff's bad now? You ain't seen nothing yet. Thank me for fighting for my own future and yours collectively. There's not even a question of fighting these people. Look at them. They've got to be opposed. People tend to think being persecuted is oh, you want to stay away from that. Oh, so you want to stay away from the fight. No, it's like John Paul Jones said when he got commissioned as the head of the U.S. Navy, right when it was starting, and he was writing to the Continental Congress. He said, I only want the fastest ships. I only want to be sent into the main war zones and direct action. They said, here's our fastest ship. Go out. He immediately goes out and engages and takes over all these British ships 2 or 3 times the size, just ramming straight into them. Well, that's what I want to do. I only want the fastest ships. I want to go directly into action. I want to go 24 hours a day. I want reporters all over the country. I want to be 50 times stronger against the enemy. I want 50 times the audience. I want victory. You think what we've done to the enemy's been effective so far? It's nothing. I have not yet begun to fight. So, support yourself, support us, do it. Or be conscious that you didn't fight when the time was right. You hesitated. You took this as another entertainment venue, just some other show, just more talk. This ain't talk. This is the targeting coordinates to take down the enemy. This is the Death Star plans. This is Sting, the Goblin Slayer. They hate this blade. This operation is a sword that is plunged politically, culturally, spiritually into the hearts of our enemies over and over and over again. They hate it. It's a standard of their defeat. It's a symbol of their weakness. That's what we're doing here. This is serious business. So I'm coming to you, asking you to continue to commission us in this fight. We've already delivered you more victories against the enemy than any other media operation in the world. And I'm asking you again, for all of our collective futures, to come to our aid now more and take your fight to the 110% level. Tell the truth. Be accurate. Stand against evil. Have courage. Until it's not even having courage, it's what you are.